Hello, and welcome to my first Let's Play of this new game called Robots. This game is currently on pre-alpha version. I have version 0.0.10. You can buy it off of Desura or off of their website directly. I'll have a link in the description. And today I'll be just going over the basics of the game, how to get started, and hopefully build an airplane. So let's get started. Here we see the main menu that you get when you boot up the game. Down here it tells you can press F1 for help. Doing so will bring up lots of options that we will go through. And pressing enter to start. And notice this is the command line, and you'll be using this pretty much the whole game. And over here on the left we have the command that is active, and on the right is the argument that we are going to pass to it. So right now we're going to tell the load command to load Stardust, which is the only map that 0.0.10 comes with. So we will do that, load that up. Now, I've already been playing on my map. As you can see, I have my little airship right here. And I guess I'll fly it around for you guys, show you how it works. And we will be making something similar to this, if not exactly the same. And I will be going through all of the things. So my ship, I can make it go up and down using W and S on the keyboard. So you see that makes the back tail go up and down, and it also rotates these fins right here as well. This provides some extra lift. So say I'm holding down S right now, this will cause the ship to go up if it was moving. And these fins basically work like wings. So basically air, I don't know if there is air in this game, but basically if you're flying straight and you have them angled at in this configuration, think of the wind as going like this, and this would basically make the craft go up. And I have these fins right here basically to keep the plane going straight, because they would keep the air flowing like such. And then to turn left and right, I have A and W, or A and D, basically just wag the back tail back and forth, which will basically ended up causing it to turn, but it's not very efficient. And then also, if I want to say spin the whole craft, I have E and Q, which basically, if you can see, spin these two fins opposite each other, so that will cause the whole ship to spin. And here we go. I'll take it off for a flight, as you guys see. I'm just gonna lift up into the air, and here we go. I can spin the craft using my Q and E keys. I can go up and down using W and S. And I'm basically holding spacebar right now to keep these jets on, and that's what makes me go forward. And I can go left and right, like so. You can see it's not very effective, and it does cause me to dip down a little bit, but I can turn. And then I also have a boost mode. I'll press B on my keyboard, and now the engines will be a lot more powerful. You can also see lasers shooting out of the front. That's actually a glitch on my ship. What's supposed to happen with my ship is I also have these two little lasers on the front here, and basically if anything is in front of the ship, you see the lasers will turn on, and these two little hinges right here will angle in a little bit, so you can watch it. Not in front of the ship, in front of the ship, the lasers come on, whoop, come back over here. And then also my little light on the end of my ship turns red as well to warn me that something's in front of me. So that's basically much it. I also have a light here on the front, you can see, and then here's my little camera that I can go into pressing tab. So it's pretty cool. But let's get a new world started so that way I can show you guys what this whole game is about. So we're going to type in reset to reset the world, and We do not want to reset the last save because that is not what we want, because that would be this save. Just going to tab through these until we find a really early one. So here's a really early one. This is 48 minutes playing. Okay, so this is basically where you start off when you start up this world from fresh. We're on this tiny planet. Whoa, whoops, wrong button. Tiny little planet. And basically in this world there are other planets. We have a planet over here. There's another planet over there. And there's a planet down there. And then there's, I think there's another one. There's a moon on one of these planets. One of these planets has a moon. I think it's, I don't know. Actually, wait, no, we're on the moon. This is the moon of that planet over there, I think. Okay, so let's get started with some basic controls. To move your camera left, right, up, and down, you're going to want to use the arrow keys on your keyboard. To zoom in and out, you want to hold Shift and use the arrow keys in and out. Pretty simple, but gets kind of annoying not being able to drag with the mouse. That would be nice, but you can drag parts with the mouse, so that's what mouse dragging is for. Let's see. So on point 0.0.10, which is this, where they have a new spawning menu. So basically you can spawn stuff in by holding Control on your keyboard and then clicking, and then you get a list of everything that you can spawn in. And I will be going through all these parts, hopefully, eventually. So make sure you tune in if you want to know about something that I haven't gotten to yet. The first basic building block is a continuum. So we'll click on that to spawn it, and it's basically just a block with 6 faces on it, excuse me. Which, you know, is your basic building block of most things. As you see here, I have this little hovercraft that I was attempting to make, and we have 2 of these continuums connected by a laser connector. I'm not exactly sure what these are called, but it basically just connects these 2 together without them actually having to be right next to each other. And then I have 4 hover pods on the corners, and then a camera. So if you want to switch your camera view, currently where camera view is orientated onto this camera right here. If I wanted to switch it to just another object, I can hold tab, hold tab and then click on another object, and now this is my camera view. So anyway, for building things, let's get 2 continuums here. If I wanted to connect 2 continuums together, it's pretty simple. I hold down the number 1 on my keypad, click on the object that I want to attach to another object, and then see we get this little green mushroom thing, basically telling us, it's asking us which side do we want to attach to another object. So you can change sides by right clicking, still holding the number 1 on my keyboard. Now we got this face selected. Now we want to connect that face to this face on this object. So we'll now, still holding 1 down this whole time, we're going to click on this object, left mouse button, and now wherever you put your mouse on this object, whatever side of it, is where this object is now going to go, as you can see. So we're going to put it right here. We're just going to click left mouse button, bam. Now we got these 2 objects are connected to each other. The connections in this game are not 100%. They can break if there's too much pressure, but it takes a lot of pressure, so you shouldn't be worried about it too much unless you're building something huge or if something starts spazzing around. So that's a basic connecting 2 objects together. If you want to disconnect 2 objects, basically what you have to do is tell one of the objects to let go of everything. So to do that, we hold 0 on your keyboard, and now this turns red saying we're going to disconnect all the connections, and now we just left mouse button and we removed all connections from this. So let's say if I had this continuum connected, we get another continuum connected. If I removed all connections from this middle continuum, because right now it's connected to both of them, as you can see, if I hold 0 and left mouse click, then they're both free of this object. These two would be connected to each other, say, and then we connected this to here. If we removed the connections from this object once again, this would be free. These would still be stuck to each other because we only removed connections on this object and to whatever objects it was connected to. So that's connecting and disconnecting. We can also connect two objects with a energy link, which is what I had on my airship earlier. To do that, you hold down number 2, and you basically do the same thing. You select which side that you want by right mouse button, which switches faces, and then we want to connect this face to this block. So we left click, and then right click until we have the face selected, and now we just left click again, and there we go. They are connected with this laser, and that's pretty strong. It's not super strong. There's a decent amount of give if you're building large ships, but it goes through objects, so it's not like Star Wars and the little laser between the pods. It won't kill anybody or cut anything. Okay, so let's build ourselves a basic car. So let's just start with this block. Let's focus on this. Throw this over here and get a couple more continuums. Whoops. One more, I think. Okay, 4 continuums, and now we're going to add some motors to it. Motors are, there we are. Now the motor, come here, lay on your side. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we have the right part of it is the spinny bit, and the left part of it is the bit that doesn't spin. I think if you connected it backwards, it technically would still work, but yeah. Now motors only have 2 connection points, the left and the right, or the 2 ends. So we're going to connect the smaller bit to our continuum here. So now we have a motor. Now we're going to do that 3 more times. So we get 4 motors. Just going to click. And they move around sometimes in the spawn menu. Oh, oops, put that on backwards. So I'm going to hold down 0 and left click, take that off. Make sure I have the right end selected, throw that on there again. And 1 more motor, where'd it go? It's over there now. And there we go. Okay, 4 motors. And then of course the last thing we need are some wheels. So we're going to get some small wheels, which are somewhere. Wide wheel, small, that's what we want. Okay. So we just throw these wheels on here. 3, 4 wheels. Whoa, come back here. There. So now we got 4 wheels on our car. But it doesn't do anything. I'm pressing WASD and it's not moving. So this leads us to the most important part of the game by far, which is the programming aspect. To bring up the programming interface, you want to hit escape on your keyboard. It used to be tilde in the earlier releases. It's now escape. And down here again, we have our command line. This is the function that's running, and this is the parameter that you're sending to it. And then these are all of the other possible parameters that you could use. So this is the spawn command. So this is basically the command line version of that interface we were using to spawn all the items. So if I pressed enter right now, it would spawn a camera. wherever my mouse was. I can hit tab and it will scroll through the rest of these options. So now it's going to spawn a continuum, the next will be an elbow, the next would be an energy bridge, and so on and so forth. But I don't really mess with that when you can just hold control and left click and to spawn everything. So let's go back here with escape, and to clear the command line you can do Control U, and that clears the whole command line, which is useful instead of having to hold backspace. And you want to make sure there aren't any commands running. You want to backspace all the way so you have a completely clear command line if you're going to be doing anything. So basically what we're going to do here is, let me orientate. Also, let me put a camera on this so we can tell which way is the front. And then focus on the camera. Okay, so let's go back into the command line. Control U, clear up my command line. And now basically what we're going to want to do is, we have the 4 motors here, and we're basically going to want these to spin when we press W. So to do that, we're going to click on the first one, and this gives us a little green object, green object, and the green objects are, if I hold F1, it tells me over here. We go. So green objects are parts, and I'm holding F1 to get this big menu up that tells us a bunch of stuff. So green things are parts. So this is the part. This is the motor. I'm going to put this up here. And now, say I want to have all my motors on the same screen together. I can hold Shift and then left click on the next motor, and that gives me the next one. And hold Shift and left click, and I get the next one, and hold Shift and left click, and so there we have the 4 motors. When you hover over them, it tells you which one it is. Pretty simple. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to hold Control and left click on the motor, and it gives us all of the inputs and outputs that this motor has. And the only thing we're interested in right now is the velocity input. So we're going to click on that, and now we can drag this around, and basically whatever number we put into velocity will be the velocity of this motor right here. So you see down here it's asking for the velocity. You don't have to give it to it right now, but we can. Let's say we put in a velocity of 5. Now this wheel is going to start spinning with a velocity of 5, and we don't want that, so we're going to put that back to 0. Okay. And also you notice that it was spinning the wrong way. So if we just gave it a -5, then it will be spinning the correct way, the way that we want to go. Okay, stop. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing for the rest of them. Hold Control, left click, add a velocity node, hold Control and left click, and add another velocity node, Control, left click, velocity node. Okay, so now we have the 4 velocities. They're all initially 0, obviously they're not moving. Now the next thing we need to do is get the input from our keyboard. So to get the input from our keyboard, we want to hold down Control, and that brings up the grid again, and holding Control and clicking on an empty area will let you add a new function, I guess. What are they called? Operands. Okay, so we're going to hold Control and left click on an empty spot to add a new operand, and we're going to choose the input sampler. So this basically samples our input and does stuff with it. So we're going to put it over here so we can see. Now we're going to Control left click on this, and this has a positive and negative, an attack, a release, and a sample. The blue things are inputs, the red things are outputs. So right now it's outputting a sample of 0. Samples are basically just numbers that this program uses. So we're going to get a positive and negative object here, input, and the positive and negative, these take in keyboard keystrokes. So we're going to just left click on the positive here, and it's going to ask us what we want positive to be. We're going to say positive is W, and enter. So now positive is W. We're going to click on negative and hit S and enter. And now negative is S. So when I hold down W, sample is going to go up to 1. When I let go of W, sample goes down to 0. If I hold S, sample will go to -1, and when I let go, it goes back to 0. So that's basically all input sampler does. We can hold Control left click and add these two other objects here, the release and the attack. The attack tells it, the input sampler, how fast you want the sample to approach either 1 or -1. So if we added attack of 5 to this, when I held W, you saw it went to 1 very quickly. And if I hit the release at 5 as well, it would go up to 1 very quickly, it would go to -1 very quickly. So this is basically the acceleration, how quickly it will get to the 1 and -1. So let's put it as an attack and release of 2 for now. So it's a nice gradual increase to 1 and -1. Now, if we just put the sample into these velocities, that wouldn't work very well because we don't want the motors to have a velocity of 1 and -1. We want it to go a little bit faster than that. But I can show you quick what happens if we were to just do that. To connect an output into another input, what you need to do is you're going to hold Control and drag one of the objects and drop it into the other object. And this is all while holding the Control button key on your keyboard. So we're going to drag and drop it into all 4 of the inputs. And now you notice these little arrows coming out of it telling that it's connected to these 4 inputs. So now I'm going to press W or hold W, and there we go. Sample is 1, and then all 4 of these velocities is now 1. The only problem is 2 of them are on the left and 2 of them on the right, so they're basically spinning opposite each other because of the way I put them on, I guess. So right now it's just turning, which will be good. This is how we're going to end up turning our craft in the future. But right now we don't want that, and we want it to go quicker. So to disconnect something from everything it's attached to, you can hold Control Shift and left click on it, and this will delete all of the things that it's connected to. So now it's not connected to those velocities anymore. So if I held W again, this would go to 1. These are not going to 1 anymore. So next, what we're going to want to add is holding Control and left clicking, we're going to add a sample mapper. Now the sample mapper takes in a sample, like this sample, and converts it to higher numbers, basically. So I'm going to Control left click on this, and it has a lot more, and this may be confusing as you start out, but once you play with it, it makes a little bit more sense. So we're going to want to grab the mapped max and the mapped min for right now. So we're going to left click on map to min. We're going to tell mapped min to be negative, say 50, and mapped max to be positive 50. Now we're also going to need a mapped. Mapped is the output of this. And then we're going to need a sample, which is the input. And basically we want our input sampler to go into our sample mapper. So we're going to Control left click drag this sample and drop it into that sample. And now this input is going, or this output is going into this input. So now, if I held W, these two will go to 1, and then the sample mapper maps to 50. So basically what the sample mapper is doing is taking in a -1 to +1, and then mapping it to -50 to +50. So our -1 becomes -50, and our +1 becomes +50, and then everything in between. So that's more like what we want. So we're gonna move all this stuff over here, just so that way it's a little bit clearer to understand, because we're going to put this mapped now into our velocities. Let's move this down a little bit just so these are, there we go, not connected, or they don't look connected. And now this goes in the middle here. So we want our mapped output here to go into the velocities now. So we're going to hold Control, left click, drag, drop, drag and drop, drag and drop. There we go. So now if I hold W, all of the velocities become 50. Now this is still not what we want, because some of these are going to have to be negative 50 when this is positive 50. And that's actually pretty simple to do with the sample mapper. What we can do is grab the inverted object out of the sample mapper, and this, if you watch me hold W, will become negative when this is positive. It's basically the inverse, as you can tell by the name. So what we want to do is have half of these going from mapped and half of these coming from inverted. So we're going to Control Shift left click on map to delete all of the links, and now we're going to put mapped into the left 2 and inverted into the right 2, and that's backwards. Ooh, delete those. Put these mapped into the left or right and inverted into the left. And also let's change this to negative 10 and 10. Okay. Oh no, that's still backwards. Ah, crap. So it was right before. Oops. Let me tell you that. So say you get out of the command window or the programming window and you want to go back to your program, you hit escape again, and then you just click on one of the parts that the program was part of. Any one of them will do, and it'll bring up the whole program. So we want to delete the links with these and then put this back the way we had it before. So the inverted going to the right and the mapped non-inverted going to the left. Hit escape to get out of that, and there we go. Actually, I think what happened was I flipped the car over. So it was right, or it was wrong, and then I flipped it over and then it was still wrong. So anyway, let me just turn us around, and here we go. There we go. We have our first car. Perfect. Now we still can't turn with A and D because it only goes forward and also backwards. So turning would be a little more complicated with this because we'd have to basically have one motor going faster than the other when we wanted to turn. And I won't mess with that because that would require some advanced math, and I'd have to think about that for a while. Also, you can scroll in and out of the program with the scroll wheel on your mouse button. It's the only thing that you can scroll in and out of using the scroll wheel for some reason. So that's that. Now that we have our first vehicle done, let's go through some of the other objects that we got in the game. So I'm going to hold Control left click, and let's see what to play with. We have the laser, like from before on my flying ship. And it starts out with the laser at a length of 0, so it's not shooting out everywhere, which is nice. Now the laser will cut up your robot if you let it touch it. So let me spawn some two continuums, put them together, and now basically don't get this laser to do anything. We're basically going to program it just like we programmed the car. So we're going to hit escape, and then we're going to click on this, and then we get its laser object. And now we're going to Control left click on the laser object, and we're going to get its length. So this is the input length. So we're going to set the input length to 2, and there we go. Hit escape. Now we have a laser of length 2, and we can drop it onto these two continuums without dropping it on my car. Come here. Come back here. And there we go. It cut up these two continuums. So this is a great fighting weapon. Oh! Oh no! Crap. Did we... Oh, no, we're good. We're good. I didn't break my car. Whew, close one. Lasers are very dangerous. Be very careful when you're playing with lasers in this game. So let's set the length to, let's try to stand it up again. Actually, let's just, we'll just put it on top of this cube. So hold 1, left click, and left click here, and then left click again. Oh, shit. It's not what I wanted to do at all. Disconnect that. Wow. Okay, so it's very, very dangerous. So we're just going to delete this. To delete an object, right now, you can hold the delete key on your keyboard and click, left click. Now be very careful because it will delete any object and any object that object is connected to. So if I held delete and clicked right here in any part of my car, it would delete the whole car and you would not get it back because there's no undo button at all. Probably a good time to mention how to save. If you hit escape, clear your command line by hitting backspace or Control U. You can type in the word save and press enter, and it'll tell you that the snapshot has been saved. So next time you load up the game, you should be back to the same place you were at when you saved. But if not, you can type in reset again, and then you can choose which snapshot to load. And it's done. The naming convention looks like a date and a time, and this is the time that you've been playing for. I think that's. I don't know. Not sure for sure, but I'm sure that'll be more user friendly in the future. But right now, it's not user friendly. So, but that's how you save. I have a lot of save files, unfortunately, because I save all the time because I don't want to mess something up. Okay, so let's look at something else. Actually, let's see how much time we have left. Oh, it's been 32 minutes already. I think I'm going to cut it there for today. Now we still got a whole lot of parts to go through. There's we have other kind of wheels. Let me show you a couple. We have wheels, a foot. Never played with that before. Hydrojet. Hyper cannon. Ooh, that's big. Fins, which you saw on my plane. See how they kind of float? They're very aerodynamic. Normal jets, which are for the air. These hydrojets are for the water. Plasma cannon, which is basically the gun, a gun. Fists. Lasers we saw, point lights. These are just little tiny lights, and then we also have spotlights, which are big lights and they project light. A flux capacitor, a hoverer. Obviously, these are great, very great, although they're hard to use. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up there, guys. If you like this series and you want me to continue, please like the video and leave a comment, and if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. And next time we will be going through more parts and building our first airplane. See you guys next time.